Yes, we've been joined now by Charlie Blampied, who appeared on the scene shortly afterwards, but with Mike, the Cornu, we're at the stage now, you're working for the quarry at Ronay, so what's that, about 1950s, early 50s?
No, it would have been the late 40s.
Late 40s. You were telling us about the meetings you had there. Did anything come out of those meetings? Did any groupings for the workers out there that were listening, you having these discussions, did it lead to anything?
Well,
probably got you the sack, but apart from that...
It got me the sack, yes. That was quite clear. But I mean, the people that I was talking to, they were quite positive, and they you know, they supported the principles that I was putting forward, that sort of thing, and quite possibly when if they found themselves faced with an election, they would have chosen a progressive candidate. Yeah,
but of course those were workers, presumably, who all lived in St Helier. They're working in St John.
Well, of course, some of them were not. I don't know if they were all on the electoral list, because there was quite a few of them who were. There was a few French and that sort of thing, you know. But nevertheless, it provided a very entertaining situation.
Is that before your time, Charlie, or was it, I mean, you were a spring chicken, we know, but...
oh no, I was working at that time.
You were working at that time. What were you working at then?
At the JC.
JC.
I started in 1942.
Oh, really? So at this sort of time, 48, when the elections were all that was going on, you were becoming politically aware, or what?
I wasn't that politically aware in those days. It was only because I was a member of the ETU in those days, Electoral Trades Union.
Did you have to be a member, or was that something you chose to do?
Well, I would have chosen, but I had to because I was an apprentice, and they said, "You join."
You join, yeah.
But I took on to it, and then
just again, so we can get a picture, because the ETU, I don't think is a very powerful union in Jersey. It's mostly Unite. They seem to be the biggest union.
Well,
what sort of, did they give you any training? Were there shop stewards? Was it organised? Was there any attempt?
It was very well organised. In fact, it was a threat to the establishment.
Really?
Because in those days, I think it was Peter Krill, I think in those days, said that the ETU shouldn't be there, you know.
Really? Just opposed to unions?
Yeah, and of course, I wasn't Rennie Linnell in those days, but when Rennie Linnell came along, they wouldn't cooperate with us at all.
Of course, you had a trades council at that time for the various unions, with the various unions.
Members of Andy Bauer was one of the founder members of the Trades Council, and Len Perkins.
Because obviously Norman de Brock got involved in trade unions. Did you get involved in making trade unions?
Not really, not at that stage.
No. Was places like the Quarry, Ronay, were they unionised at all?
Yes, they were unionised, but I mean they weren't that strong really, and that was the TNGW.
Right. Other sorts of like farm workers, there was a lot of farm workers then. Were they in trade union or not?
I don't think so.
No.
And because the Jersey Farmers Union used to organise all that, and they used to work out the rates and so on and so forth.
Right. Was there ever, as far as you can remember, any serious attempt at getting elected in the country parishes? Did that ever happen?
To
get people elected in the country parishes? Or was it all centred on town? Was it mostly representative?
Well, most of it was centred on town, but you see, an organisation grew up which was led by J.J. Lamarckle.
Right.
Now, that, if I can remember rightly, and Charlie correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what gave rise to that particular organisation was the introduction of the
Social Security.
Social Security.
Social Security, yeah, he was a great campaigner against that, wasn't it?
He was.
Marching
also,
through with the coffin and all that
if
stuff.
You want to continue with this? This organisation was very right-wing.
Right.
Now, I lived in St One's by then, and there were a few candidates, and I recall, because I managed to find a job as a milkman, one of my many jobs.
Right.
And I used to deliver milk to this chap, and he was a candidate, not for the JJ's lots. Anyway,